Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys are having a great Thursday. We have a lot to talk about, so I'm going to put the chapters as I always do for long videos, so you guys can skip to the sections you want to see. But we also take a look at, from yesterday's video, I had a mistake in Stronghold's shares outstanding. I had a 53 million, but we'll get into it. The correction is going to be here, but we have a lot to talk about. Hive, they're going to change their name. They also have some other things to report. Bitfarms starts production at their Bayo Como facility that they recently bought. Mawson Infrastructure is also getting into a new lease agreement with somebody. We have that. BitDigital provides production update for June, along with Hot 8, Terawulf, Riot, and Marathon. So it's going to be a pretty full episode. I'm trying to keep it under an hour, but we have a lot to get through. So as always, you guys know the drill here, not financial advice for entertainment only. Please do your own research and invest in the following coins and companies for full disclosure. So let's take a look at, really quick, we'll take a look at, what do we want to take a look at? Stronghold. Let's get into Stronghold first, and we'll get into the miners and how the markets reacted. So yesterday, if we go, let me see here. I believe here. There we go. Yesterday, I spoke about Stronghold, saying that it was undervalued based on what I saw. I used the wrong shares outstanding number, which I had at 55 million. This was pre the reverse split that they had, 1 for 10. Matt and others have in the comments pointed out my mistake here, so I appreciate that. And here's what we do have. So right now, excuse me, what we're using is the after split numbers of 5.3 million shares. And based on that, they are way, way undervalued here. They should be, based on my numbers here, between $26.93 and $40.40, depending on which 50% or 75% income you use. They're currently at $6.17. So they are way undervalued. They obviously got beaten down pretty good after the reverse split. Now, there is some questionable questions regarding the shares outstanding. They also have Class V shares, which I'm trying to figure out if those actually get counted in the exchanges for trading or not. I've reached out to a couple people that might be able to help me out, but from everything that I've seen, it just seems like it's only the 5.3 million shares right now. But if I find out anything, I'll let you guys know. So I do apologize for the mistake. It happens from time to time. There's a lot of data that I have to go swift through, and sometimes I might not catch something. So I do appreciate you guys pointing things out to me when they do happen, okay? Okay, so that's it for Stronghold. Let's take a look at the markets really quick, and then we'll get into the other news stories as well. So obviously the markets were down today. S&P was down 0.79%, Dow Jones was down 1.07, NASDAQ was down 1.86, and the reason for that was the jobs report came out, was actually better than expected. So that had people basically fearing that the Fed's going to more than likely raise interest rates again. So that's why the markets were down. Bitcoin was down. Miners were kind of mixed today. They were trading down for the most part, then they kind of bounced up towards the end of the day. We'll take a look at those here in a second here. But Bitcoin was down on the day. It was down to 1.97%, down to 29,899 is where it closed for the day. It's actually up a little bit right now, about 0.56% at 30,065. We'll see how this continues going forward. Obviously, that news didn't help out, so we'll see if that has a continuation impact on it, if it continues to going down. Right now, we've had 3 red days in a row. We'll see if we can squeak out a green day here for today going into Friday. Okay, Ethereum. Ethereum was also down today. It was down 3.37% to a close of 1,845. It is up a little bit now in the after hours to 0.24. Okay. Now, as far as the miners are concerned, ANY was actually up to date, 1.34%. They squeaked out a green day on it. Argo was up 1.59%. BitDigital was down 6.52%. Surprisingly, they actually had pretty good numbers from their production update. So I'm surprised they were down. Bitdeer was up 5.94%. Bitfarms was down 0.61%. Cypher was down 3.16%. CleanSpark actually squeaked out a green day, 1.89%. So that was good to see. Core Scientific was actually down today, 0.58%. DigiHost was down 2.14%. DMG was down 1.95%. Greenage was up 2.38%. Hive was up 0.19%. Hot 8 was down 2.19%. Iris Energy was up 3.92%. Marathon was down 1.54%. Mawson was up 3.43%. Riot was down 0.37%. Soluna was actually up today 4.63%. And then we got Stronghold was up 4.05%, continuing the little rally that they're on right now. And then we got Terawulf was up huge today. It was up 9.13%, which was good to see as well. This is possibly their new high here for a while, it looks like. Last time they were at this range was back in June of 2022, so about a year ago now. Okay. So yeah, but more than a year ago. All right, so we're gonna skip the network hash rate, see what's going on there. Actually, let's take a quick look at it as well right now. Doesn't take us that long to take a look at it. It's up on the 7-day average to 374 million. On the 1 day, it is down a little bit here. It's down to 349 million. So Still trading sideways on that one. We'll see how that continues going forward. Obviously, we have a lot of containment going on right now with the heat and everything else in the summertime. So, but there's a reason for it, and a lot of the miners, we'll get into it, but a lot of the miners were down in production here for this month of June. Okay, so let's get into the news stories here really quick. I'll try to get through these as fast as I can. I don't want to waste your guys' time too much. So, Hive Blockchain announces rebranding and name change to Hive Digital Technologies Ltd. to reflect our HPC strategy and updates Bitcoin equivalents for fiscal year 2023. If you remember from, I believe it was it earlier this week, when they reported that the numbers that they mined for the full fiscal year, I pointed out that they had a mistake on it. I didn't get any kind of response back from them on Twitter as far as, hey, saying thank you for letting us know that we made a mistake. Nothing, they just put this out for everybody to hear. So they did have a mistake, and they did correct it here. So here's what they announced. Today announces its intent to undergo a strategic rebranding, including a name change to Hive Digital Technologies. This is kind of like, I don't know why companies do this. I can understand why they're doing it a little bit, because they are getting into the HPC side of business a little bit too. But remember when blockchain was all the rage a couple years ago, everybody was changing their name to X blockchain, X this, or whatever it was, blockchain. This is now going to be something closer to the AI, right? Something that's fueling the next bull run possibly on the NASDAQ with AI, things that are related to AI. Okay, so the reason is to better reflect the company's evolving expansion into fast tracking our HPC data centers by utilizing our NVIDIA high-performance graphics processing units, the GPUs, chips for the mass adoption trend in artificial intelligence, like I said. So I don't know if they're just jumping on the bandwagon here. I don't like it when companies jump on the bandwagon. Their name wasn't too bad, Hive Blockchain. You got blockchain, and then this is a small portion of what they actually do. Bitcoin mining is their majority of the business that they have. So rebranding seems a little weird to me. The intent of the name change signals a significant strategic expansion to harness the potential of our green energy data centers and of GPU cloud compute technology, a vital tool in the world of AI, machine learning, and advanced data analysis since the launch of ChatGPT. Remember the whole craze of ChatGPT, artificial intelligence? Well, it seems like they're jumping on the bandwagon here. The company expects the name to change will be effective on or about July 12th, and the shares of the warrants will commence trading under its new name on the TSXV and NASDAQ shortly thereafter. The symbol is not going to change. It's still going to be Hive for the symbol, so that's good there. Okay. And then here's a correction to June 30th, 2023. In the company's June 30th, 2023 news release, there was an understatement of the number of Bitcoin equivalent mined during the year by 782. Hive stated that in the fiscal year, the company mined 3,258 Bitcoin from ASICs and 3,503 Bitcoin equivalent when including digital assets mined from GPUs. The correct figures for the Bitcoin equivalent should have been 4,295 and not 3,503. I pointed this out. I had them at actually 4,297. So my number was off by 2. But I used the numbers that they provide monthly. And obviously there might be some small differences in that when they actually do the audited number counting on that. Okay, so it was pretty close. But nonetheless, not a thank you, nothing like that. Would have been nice to just say, hey, thanks. We appreciate the feedback. Nothing. So that's fine. At least they provided the information that's correct, and that way investors know what's going on. Okay, so that's it for that one. Like I said, I'm on the fence on the name change. I don't care either way, but it seems kind of silly to change it now. But maybe if they start going more into the GPU side of things and AI and things like that, maybe that makes more sense. Okay, let me know what you guys think. Next, Bitfarms. So Bitfarms increased its target hash rate to 6.3 exahash by the end of Q3 2023. And this is based on their facility here. So Baycomo is positioned to deliver 22 megawatts of hydropower capacity when complete. The hashing began with an initial 3 megawatts, and we expect to reach 11 megawatts at the site in Q3 2023. The remaining 11 megawatts is planned to come online in second half of 2024. So that's basically a year away from there, or from now. The good thing is it seems like they have already started some production there. Don't know exactly how much. But Bitfarms acquired an evergreen contract with the local utility in Baycomo for 22 megawatts of hydropower, which includes a 10-year lease in an industrialized area with the option to purchase at a fixed price throughout the lease term. So that's good there. They paid 1.9 million in USD. 750,000 of that was in cash, and 820, and the rest was paid in shares. So 820,837 Bitfarms common shares was issued at $1.83 per Canadian or $1.38 in USD share. Okay, so that's fine. At least they're growing, which I love to see, and they are diversifying their locations, which is fantastic. So this is good news there. and nonetheless, increasing their forecasted hash rate to 6.3 from 6 that I think that they were saying to get to is also good news. Okay, let me know what you guys think about that one. Mawson Infrastructure Group Inc. secures new mining site in Bellefonte, Pennsylvania, and has already deployed and operationalized the site. So that's good news there. Love to see them report monthly production updates. Right now, they're in my doghouse, like some of the miners are when they don't provide monthly production updates. But this is nonetheless good news for them. They've had a rough 2022, and seems like they're kind of getting out of it a little bit here, slowly but surely. So Mawson today announced that it has signed a new long-term lease agreement and operationalized a new facility in Bellefonte, Pennsylvania. And here's what we get. The new Bellefonte facility has 8 megawatts of immediately available power, where the Mawson has already deployed approximately 2,600 miners that are online. And actually, the Bellefonte site will be 100% self-mining facility. So that's good. I don't like it when companies do a lot of hosting. Hosting has historically been a bad business, unfortunately. The site is capable of being expanded by an additional 60 megawatts, resulting in a total site capacity, once fully deployed, of 24 megawatts. Once the expansion is completed, the site will be capable of holding approximately 7,200 miners. So that's good there. Let's see if we have anything else. No, nothing else. So I just thought I'd point this out to you guys. I thought this was good that they are growing, which is nice to see as well. Okay, now we get into the updates here for June. So Bit Digital Inc. announces monthly production update for June 2023. And here's what we have. They actually had a pretty nice increase here this month, along with their hash rate increase, which is nice to see as well. Okay, so in June 2023, the company produced 119.1 BTC, a 5% increase compared to last month. The company's active hash rate was approximately 1.78, so that is definitely a nice increase from where they were in May. Okay, treasury holdings of BTC were 485, Ethereum was 11,738, which is good. And I mean, that's really it. You can take a look at the other parts of it, the proof of stake highlights that they are staking the Ethereum that they do have here. And they're making like 5% on that, which is still great. Blended API of approximately 5% on its staked Ethereum position for the month of June 2023. 5% is 5%, so nonetheless, that's pretty good. Okay, let's take a look at the numbers that I have for them, and then we'll get into the other miners as well. And I'll try to go through this quickly, and hopefully I don't go too fast for you guys here. Bit Digital, obviously, shares outstanding right now, 82 million. Stock price right now is at $4.16. Market cap is at 343 million. Based on the 12 weeks, they're up 107% from 12 weeks ago. From 8 weeks, they're up 105%. From 4 weeks, they're up 42%. Last week, they were actually down 6.67%. Their BTC production, you can see here, peaked in October of last year at 152. And then it's been kind of going downwards until actually May. May went up mainly because of the network transaction fees. And then in June, they had a nice increase in the hash rate, which had helped offset that, and also the increase in network hash rate. So that's good there. Bitcoin HODL is at 485 right now, valued at about 14.9 million. You can see the monthly BTC mine difference here, and nice increase in May, along with a smaller increase in June. And then BTC HODL has peaked in January of 2023. They've been selling some here to buy miners and do other things as well. But it looks like it's starting to peak or increase at least from May, which they bottomed at 454. They're back up to 485 here in June, so they are starting to HODL again a little bit more. BTC per exahash efficiency was pretty good, 66.9, considering that they did install quite a bit of hash rate this past month. BTC sold, you can see that they, on average, are selling about 100 or so Bitcoins per month. On average, they had a pretty big decrease here in February, 382. They only sold 88 in June. Hash rate, here's the nice part of it. Their hash rate has been coming down ever since November of last year. They've been getting rid of some of the older miners that they had that were like 66 terahash miners, some of the less efficient ones, and they started buying some newer ones. And we finally had a nice increase here in June where those got installed and energized. Okay, monthly Bitcoin revenue here, you can see the revenue is kind of up and down depending on the month, but it peaked, it looks like this might be their best month in June at 3.3 million roughly. The prior best month was 3.25 million in August of last year. So they are getting back up to where they were last year in production and revenue, which is good to see as well. Monthly hash rate difference added, obviously they added 590 petahash this month. BTC sold value, like I said, they've been selling on average about 2 million or so worth of Bitcoins a month on average. Last 4 quarters data, you guys, we talked about this in the past here. Institutions have increased to 70 from 68, so that's good. Shares, however, stayed the same at 15.04 million. Percentage stayed the same. Buy ratings stayed the same with 1 buy rating. And then the price targets actually increased to $5.20 for the high, $4.57 for the average, $4 for the low. Okay, so that's good there. And here's the miners that we got added in here. If you remember from previous videos on Bit Digital, I had a bunch of miners here that were like the 66 terahash miners or lower. I basically just collapsed those down because they're not being used anymore. So now we have a little bit more cleaner sheet here, and we can see here that they added in these 88 terahash miners potentially, along with these 103 terahash miners in June to get us to the 1.78 exahash here. Okay, and operational wise, they were pretty much operating based on my estimates here about 30 days for the month, which is really good. And then the new miners were added in for about 20.76 days, except for these were in for 30 days. Or that's what I have it at. So they might have, yeah, I mean, that could have been up a little bit here. Could have been like 25 days between the two, possibly, maybe a little bit less. Those were 90,000, 70, yeah. It's hit or miss a little bit there, but it's pretty close. Okay, so that's what we got added in. Now, if we look at my numbers compared to where they are right now, I have them for the last 3 quarters at 25 million in revenue. Current quarter that we're in is about 8.9 million. Combined total is 34.075 million. 50% net income, we're looking at 17 million for that. PE of 10 is $2.07. 75% net income. PE of 10, we're looking at $3.10. Currently, they're at $4.16. I'm thinking they're a little bit overvalued, but the analysts are saying $5.20. So they're obviously giving them a little bit more PE rating than I am. Maybe they're looking more into the future rating of things, future revenue potential. If you look at that, then we're looking at closer probably to like PE of 20 on current revenue or past revenue. But if we look at future revenue, that should help out. And you can see that here that they have been increasing their revenue. What do we got? 8.9. Yep, 8.9. So that's better than it was in Q1 and better obviously than it was in Q4 of last year. So they are starting to go back up in revenue, which is good. Okay. So overall, I think they're kind of fairly valued to possibly being a little bit overvalued depending on how you look at them. Let me know what you guys think, whether or not they are overvalued. Based on that hash rate that they do have, I think other miners are probably more undervalued than they are right now. Okay, so let me know what you guys think of that one. And let's get into the next one here, which is going to be on Hut 8. Hut 8 is also, there's also an issue here with Hut 8 that I have a little bit, and I'll point this out to you guys. Okay, so Hut 8 mining production and operation updates for June. Here's what we have. 120 Bitcoin were generated for the month of June. That equates to about 4 Bitcoin per day. This is where it gets a little confusing for me here. They say 217 Bitcoin, 100% of the Bitcoin produced in May, and 70 Bitcoin produced in June were sold during the month for proceeds totaling 7.9 million. This doesn't coincide well for me, at least from the data that I have been tracking for them that's being reported monthly by them. Okay. Total balance of Bitcoin in reserve is 9,136. 8,289 of those are unencumbered. Installed ASIC hash rate capacity at our Alberta facilities was 2.6 exahash at the end of the month. That's kind of what we have at right now. Let me see. They produced efficiency-wise 46.2 BTC per exahash on June. Operational highlights. In June 2023, our repair and restoration efforts at our Drumheller, Alberta site continued as the team repaired more than 3,700 hash boards throughout the month. Our focus is on reinstalling and energizing of the repaired miners while continuing to complete repairs on the other miners. So they've obviously had issues there. They're trying to get that resolved. It looks like they had an electrical issue, which possibly knocked out some of these miners and hash boards, and that's why they're having to repair a lot of them. They've stated that they have, well, they've had issues, and as they repair them, the other ones basically fail on them, and they have to repair those as well. So it's been kind of one of those catching your or chasing your own tail, basically, until you get everything figured out. They did, let me see, and that's about it for it. Okay, let me see here. And that's the amendment. They're supposed to get to 7.5 exahash, I believe, when they merge with USBTC. Yep. Okay, and then they also signed a 5-year agreement for their HPC side of business things, I believe. Earlier this month, Interior Health, the Health Authority for Southern British Columbia, signed a 5-year agreement for co-location services with Hut 8 at the Kelowna data center. So that's good there. Okay, so let's talk about this here first, and then we'll get into everything else. So if we look at Hut 8, let's see, Hut 8, this is what they reported the prior months, in May and April. Excuse me. So in April, they reported of, let me see, BTC HODL of 9,265. They mined 132 Bitcoin. They didn't report of selling anything in April. So these all numbers still match up here. May, they reported 147 Bitcoin being mined and a hodl of 9,233. That basically equates to 179 Bitcoins are being sold from here to there, because we're including what they actually mined, adding that to that, and then subtracting this from here. They sold 179. They're saying that they sold the full amount in 100% of Bitcoin produced in May and 70 Bitcoin produced in June were sold. So they're saying they sold 100% of it, which they actually sold more. It looks like they sold 179. So I need clarification on this, if this is just an error on their part, or it was an error on their part reporting it for the production for May. June, they say that they sold only 70. I show that they actually sold 217 for the total, which is what they're reporting here, right? So that's where the confusion comes in a little bit. And they're saying that they received 7.9 million. I have them at 6.02, well, basically 6 million in June and 4.9 million in May. So I don't know where they're getting the numbers from, or if they sold actually something here in April they didn't report. But I looked at the numbers here, and this is what was being reported. Okay, so either I have them wrong somewhere here, or they had an issue again, like Hive did last week. So we'll see what we can come up with here. If you guys know anything, let me know if any of the stuff is incorrect. Okay, so that's that one. We covered that. Let's see here. Hut 8, 221 million shares outstanding. Stock prices at $3.58. They're valued at 782 million market cap right now. They've had pretty good performance here the last 12 weeks. They're up 54.9 from 12 weeks, 89.7% up from 8 weeks. From 4 weeks, they're up 72.8%, and last week they were up 12.63%. So they've been doing actually pretty good as far as stock prices are concerned. Monthly Bitcoins mined, or let's take a look at the hodl first. 9,233 hodled is valued at 283 million right now, sorry, for that one. BTC mined monthly. You can see that they basically peaked in August of last year, 375. This was when they were still mining with their GPUs Ethereum. After that, September was a big cut for them. October, they went up a little bit here, and then November, and ever since then, they've been kind of dropping each month going forward. And they've had nothing but issues with their facilities, lawsuits, and everything else. That has definitely dragged the production way down here, and they're not growing much. So each month the network hash rate increases, their production is going to be down even more. Okay, so that's that one. You can see their monthly difference in BTC production. Their BTC hodl has been pretty stable, right about 9,200 here since January, up and down a little bit between that, but hasn't gone over that. We're down a little bit now to 9,136 based on that. So they are at least using the money here to pay for operations, expenses, things like that, instead of diluting the hell out of shareholders. Okay, so BTC per exahash efficiency has also been coming down here as the months progress. That's expected, especially with network hash rate increasing. You're going to have a lower efficiency there as that happens, but it's still pretty low compared to other miners, as we've covered before. BTC sold, you can see how much they've been selling based on my data here that I have in my math. Hash rate, you can see that they peaked in November of last year, which was 3.2 exahash, but this was also their GPU mining as well. And then they were at 2.5, and then they've kind of stayed there, 2.5, 2.6 almost roughly, but they still have problems with some of the facilities, and they're not operating fully as it is. Okay, monthly BTC revenue, you can see that the revenue peaked in August of last year, and then it's been down to a low of December was 2.7 million. They're kind of like within 3 to 4 million here, it looks like, recently. May was a good month for them because of the network transaction fees helped quite a bit there. Hash rate difference, you can see what's been going on there monthly from month to month. BTC sold value, you can see that they've been selling approximately, it looks like, well, I see almost 10 million here in February and March combined, and you got another 10 million here in May and June as well. Okay, quarterly revenue and things like that, we've talked about that when they report their quarterly metrics or quarterly financials. Institutions here. Institutions did increase to 158 from 156, so that's good. Shares also increased to 22.94 million from 22.69 million. That's a percentage of 10.37% compared to 10.26, so that's good there. We still have one strong buy rating, one buy rating, two hold ratings for them by analysts. And price targets increased a little bit here to $2.45 for the high, average up to $1.76, and the low is up to $1.13 compared to where it was before. Okay, now as far as their operations side of things, let's see here. Based on what they reported of being mined in June, it looks like they were operating about 18.78 days, but they're basically running everything that they can right now that's available to run. The other miners are basically just shut off, and based on what they actually report as being their hash rate, it's like they're running for 18.78 days, right? So definitely a big hit for them. They were at 22.1 days in May, so They're even worse in June than they were in May as it is. Okay, so based on all of this, we can see here that their current quarter revenue was 11.18. This is estimated. Last 3 quarters, which is actuals, was 44.4 million. Combined total is at 55 million. 50% net income from gross revenue. We're looking at 27.8 million. P of 10. I haven't a P of 10. We could go to P of 15 possibly for them. But their growth, until they actually merge with USBTC, that's definitely their growth has been atrocious here over the last year. So I got them between $1.26 and $1.89. They're at $3.58. I think they're overvalued. I think most of their value is coming in from their HODL position, not from their hashing actually. That's kind of where I have them at. So I think they're overvalued based on this. But given that Bitcoin goes up in value, obviously that's going to help them out as well. Okay, so let me know what you guys think of that one. Obviously, they got to solve a lot of the problems that they have with the hash boards, the lawsuits, everything else, the USBTC merger. They got to get that done, and they got to grow their hash rate before the halving event. Okay, that's my 2 cents on them. Let's take a look at the next one here, which is going to be on Terawulf. Terawulf actually had a fantastic month here in June. So here's a production update for them. In June 2023, highlights: self-mined 347 Bitcoin in June with an average production rate of 11.6 Bitcoin per day. Power cost averaging 9.3 thousand per Bitcoin produced. That's really good. That's really, really good here. That's basically at 3.5 cents per kilowatt in June. That's really good. Fully commissioned building 2 at Lake Marinara facility and achieved 110 megawatts of self-mining capacity site-wide. So that's good there. You can see all their numbers here. They are at 4.9 exahash here average. So that's an average. It could be up a little bit higher than that, but this is what they're reported as the average. So basically, if they were lower at the beginning of the month and higher at the end of the month, we're getting the average of those. Okay. Let's see if there's anything else. Management commentary. There is nothing else here. You guys can read over that if you like. And then you can always find this, obviously, through Yahoo Finance, where they post it. And let's take a look at the numbers that I have for Terawulf. So Terawulf, like I said, had a really good month here. They're actually, I think, one of the only ones, maybe 1 or 2 of the other ones that have actually provided some good numbers here. So shares outstanding for them is 212 million. The stock price is at $2.39. They're valued at 506 million right now. They've had an okay run in the last 12 weeks. They're up 21% from 12 weeks ago, 9.4% up from 8 weeks ago. 4 weeks ago, they're up 31.6%, and then last week they were down 2.78%. Current hash rate is at 4.9. Future hash rate is at 4.9. They're pretty much fully installed, I think, based on numbers. And I may have an error there, but I'll have to take a look at it. As far as HODL, they don't HODL anything. They sell everything that they mine monthly. You can see their BTC production here. Nice, steady growth upwards. Love seeing that. That's always great. Monthly difference of BTC mined. There you can see that they got little spikes here and there when they install more miners. That's good to see. BTC HODL is at 0. BTC per exahash efficiency, 70.82. This is actually pretty good. BTC sold, like I said, they sell everything that they mine each month. Hash rate is now at 4.9. They were at 4 for a couple months there, so that's a nice increase as well. I love seeing that. BTC mine revenue, love seeing this also. The revenue continuing to grow upwards, right? So when they do get fully installed, the next part is going to be seeing how much more can they grow. Okay, hash rate difference from month to month. This is good. BTC sold value, this is how much they've been selling. Basically, whatever their revenue was, that's what they sold. Last 4 quarters revenue, self-mining. We've talked about this in their quarterly results. When we do those, institutions increased by 1. So 107 right now. Shares is 25.1 million. So that's an increase there. Percentage owned is also up a little bit here to 11.84%. We still have 1 buy rating, and the price targets are $2 for the high, average, and low on them. And going down here, the miners that got installed here were these 100 terahash miners. 9,000 of those roughly to get us to the 4.9. So it looks like they still have a little bit. I need to update this one. So yeah, they still have a little bit of growth. They're supposed to be at about 5.36 exahash. So that's kind of where that's getting us to. So they're almost fully installed as it is. Okay, and they were operating pretty much for the full 30 days, except for the new miners that were installed. Those were operating approximately 23.25 days out of the month here. Okay, let's take a look at the actual numbers here, the figures. So I currently have them at P of 15 mainly because they are getting close to being fully installed. And the last 4 quarters are 21 million. Current quarter is actually more than the prior 3 quarters of 25 million. So if we go forward looking, we could increase that 15 to possibly a 20, if not higher than that. And at that point, I would say that they are currently undervalued or very lowly valued from where they should be, actually. So I would say anywhere between $2.22 through $3.34. But given that they might grow even further beyond that, Bitcoin goes up in value, they could get 25, 30, PE going forward. And that'll definitely help them out as well. So 278 to 417. And the only reason they're kind of low on that is because, well, the number of shares outstanding, right? So that always has an effect on the stock price as well. But overall, fantastic growth by them over the past year. They've done a fantastic job growing and just growing month over month, which is great to see. Anytime you have lulls in production or in growth, you start seeing a decrease in the BTC being produced because the network hash rate increases. So they've done a fantastic job, I think, here over the last year. Okay, there's other things you have to obviously take a look at, which is like the debt to equity ratios, current ratios, and things like that. You have to take it all into consideration. So always do your own research on any of this stuff. Okay. All right. So that's it for that one. Let's take a look at the next one here. We'll try and get through as fast as we can. So Riot announced Bitcoin produced 460. Average Bitcoin per day was 15.3. Bitcoin held was 7,250. Bitcoin sold was 400. Their deployed hash rate was 10.7. That increased a little bit here from the month of May, about 200 petahash or so. And then down here, there was something else. Here it is. You can read over some of this stuff here. But the interesting part was Riot's power strategy, how it works. They have two sections on this. Riot's dynamic power strategy explained. Definitely worth a read to understand how that is all being taken into account for their production and everything else. Okay, I'm just going to go over the top one here. So in 2020, June last month, Texas experienced extreme heat, causing demand for electricity to spike, in some cases extremely close to available supply. That's never good, right? So on certain dates of peak demand, Riot curtailed more than 90% of its power usage, temporarily foregoing revenue from its Bitcoin mining operations and instead providing energy resources to ERCOT. During these times, the company's curtailment of operations meaningfully contributed to reducing overall power demand to ensure that consumers did not experience interruptions in service. So that is good. That's kind of the wonderful thing with the Bitcoin miners is they can power down relatively quickly, provide power back into the grid when needed. But there is a trade-off on that, right? You're mining less, but then you're supposed to get, whether it's credits or actually revenue from the power that you curtailed on. And they do explain it here a little bit. I'm not going to go too deep in the woods. Jason Les has explained this in plenty of interviews that he's done on how this works and everything else. But Riot actively participates in several demand response programs, including ERCOT's ancillary services for coincident peak 4CP program. So during the month, I think it's June, July, August, and September are those months where if they curtail during those times, I believe the way it works is they won't pay a higher fee next year. Okay, so it's a juggling act, and it's understandable why they're doing it. Okay, but definitely read this if you haven't heard Jason Les speak about this in the past. All right, let's take a look at their numbers here. And we got one more to go. I'm trying to get through this. Okay. So Riot has 175 million shares outstanding. Market cap is at 2.3 million. There's the second biggest one right now after Marathon. As far as their last 12 weeks performance here, you can see it's been okay. They're down 12.3% from 12 weeks ago. They're up 11.4% from 8 weeks ago, up 14.4% from 4 weeks ago, and last week they were up just 1.9%. BTC HODL is 7,250. That's valued at 222 million. They sold, like I said, 400 in June. BTC, you can see that they peaked in January with 740 Bitcoin, and after that, it's been kind of flat here in the 600 range. In June, obviously, a lot of curtailment has happened for them. They're down to 460. This would, I think, put them below CleanSpark right now in production. But they do generate revenue from it here, and I think they provided that in here. I think I might have power sales, 8.4 million. Demand was 1.6 million as well. So I may have to do some numbers on this to see, had they run for the full month, would that be better than the numbers that they got here? I'll have to do some math on that when I have a little time. Okay, so we've covered that. BTC HODL has been increasing here pretty much monthly, it looks like. I don't think we have any dips here. They're consistently stacking their deck with Bitcoin HODL. BTCX hash efficiency, they're pretty much in the 60s. Now they're in the 42s in June. So definitely a lot of curtailment there. Like I said, BTC sold. They're kind of up and down on it. They sold the most in January, 714, followed by March, 681. And then they've been close to 600 for April and May. And they're down to 400 in June here. And hash rate. So hash rate growth has been great last year through the second half. The first quarter, basically, of the year, they were a little bit flat here, up a little bit towards the end of it. And then they've been flat ever since then. They increased a little bit here in June as well. Okay. Now, as far as the revenue is concerned here, you can see the revenue was up and down, but it did start to increase and go to the upside ever since December of last year into January, February, March, April, and May. May was their best month of 18.59 million. Now we're back down to 12.7 million, which was a big drop for them. But they did get the credits and the revenue from the curtailment on it. You can see the hash rate difference here. Bitcoin sold value as well. You can see that. Last 4 quarters revenue, we've covered that before as well. You guys can take a look at that later on. Institutions. Institutions did increase to 336 from 333. 74.13 million. So that's actually down from the 74.14 million that they had in May when I recorded this. And that's down to 41.62% from the 41.63. We still have 3 buy ratings, or 3 strong buy ratings, 6 buy ratings, 0 holds down, so that's gone. So now we have 9 analysts instead of 10 analysts covering them. And the price targets stayed the same at $60 for the high. The average increased to 12.46 and the low at 780 right now. Okay, as far as what miners got installed and how much they were operating for, they were operating for about 19 days, it looks like, on average, with the miners here being installed, the 140 terahash XPs being installed and running for about 6.25 days, roughly. You can run the numbers either way. You could increase those, decrease that one, or increase this one and decrease those. That's kind of where I figured it out, possibly around 19 days. So that's kind of an estimate there. That got us to the 12.77 million in revenue that they had for the month. We can see here based on the network or the average Bitcoin price in June, and that's what we have here. So that's kind of what we're looking at. And based on that, their current quarter, we're looking at about 49.8 million in revenue. Last 3 quarters was about 100.8 million. Combined total 150 million, 50% net income. We're looking at, with a P of 20 at $8.60 to a P of 20 for 75% net income at $12.91. Sorry. Currently, they're at $13.54. I think they're a little bit overvalued right now. But given that they are going to be increasing to 20 some exahash, and them being one of the favorites here as far as the miners are concerned with investors, they could definitely get a heck of a lot more PE going forward, especially if Bitcoin goes up in value. So they could be, they're saying $16 for the high end, $7.80. Yeah, so looking at like a PE of 25 right now for them on the current numbers. Okay, so a little bit overvalued, maybe fairly valued right now. But with the growth that they do have, I think they'll do fine. They've done a great job last time around. We were in the bull run. I expect them to do the same thing this time around, along with Marathon and some of the other ones as well. But we'll see. Okay, so overall, not bad. The production is going to be up and down right now through the summer months for them. It's going to be actually possibly down from where they were because of the curtailment. So that's expected. Investors kind of know this, or at least they should know this going forward. And things usually start to pick up back in after like September, October, November, December areas when we get into those months. Those are cooler months. Those usually help ramp up the production during those months as well. Okay, let me know what you guys think of that one. And finally, let's get into Marathon here. So Marathon also provided their numbers, and here's what we have. So Marathon produced 979 Bitcoin in June, down 21% from last month and up 580% from June of last year. The decreased production relative to last month was due to weather-related curtailment in Texas and a significant decrease in transaction fees. Yes, those all have obviously contributed to their decreased production here. They did increase their hash rate though, which was good, but they still couldn't actually, with a higher hash rate than Core Scientific, they couldn't generate more Bitcoin than Core Scientific did. If you look at those numbers here, if we compare them, those two. So actually what I wanted to say was Marathon is now the king as far as exahash is concerned, as far as who's the biggest one. They have the most, followed by Core Scientific for their hash rate right now, but they didn't actually produce as much Bitcoin as Core Scientific. And that is based on the fact that they curtailed. Okay, so in June, we increased our operational hash rate 16% month over month to 17.7 exahash, and we increased our installed hash rate 8% month over month to 21.8 exahash. The final steps to achieving our 23 exahash goal are in Allendale, North Dakota, and Garden City, Texas. The final building in Allendale is expected to come online this month, so that's great. The final Garden City tie-in is also expected within that same period. So they could be close to 23 exahash by the excuse me, by the end of this month, potentially, if not next month. Let's see here. They're also excited to announce that our new joint venture in Abu Dhabi began hashing earlier this week as the first containers in our Mina Zayed facility powered up. So that's good there. I think they have either 10% or 20%, I believe it's 20% stake in that one. So they are not going to be reporting that as Bitcoin being mined for them. It is going to be reported as an asset on their balance sheet, I believe. Okay. Note, despite this progress, the reported operational hash rate of 21.8 exahash and 23 exahash guidance remain exclusive of the joint venture. So those are not going to be included in that as well. Okay. Let me see here. That's supposed to get to 7 exahash, the joint venture, but they're only getting 20%, which is I think like 1.6 exahash or something like that for that part of it. They got their production here. Let me see here. Also, in June, approximately 18,500 Marathon's Bitcoin miners were energized at Applied Digital's facilities in Ellendale, North Dakota. This growth was partially offset by 3,000 older generation miners being removed from service upon the expiration of the hosting agreement in Ohio. So we'll take a look at which ones those possibly could be there. And I think that was it here. Yep. Okay. Let's see. What was their HODL here? Did they cover HODL? Where was their HODL? I think I missed their HODL. Did I miss their HODL? Let's see here. Trying to think. Their holdings 12,538. So I have to update that probably. 12,538. I remember that. Marathon. 12,000. Okay, I did include it in here. Okay, so that's their HODL right now. And then let's see if I included in here 12,538. I did. Okay. All right, too many numbers to remember. Okay, so shares outstanding is 167 million right now. Market cap is at 2.56 billion. They are the biggest as far as market cap is concerned right now. Their performance for the last 12 weeks has been pretty good. 15.8% in 12 weeks ago, 55% from 8 weeks ago, 47.8% from 4 weeks ago, and then 9.05% from last week. So it's been really good there. Their BTC production has been all over the place. Their low was last year at 72. Then they nicely increased that through October to 615. They fell through November, December. January had a nice increase to 687. February was up a little bit or down a little bit to 683. March, good month there for 825. They were down in April to 702. May, obviously with the network transaction fees, helped them out tremendously. 1,245 on that one. They're down to 979 right now. Month over month difference in BTC mine. You can see the increases and decreases there. BTC HODL. Their HODL has been kind of up and down a little bit, mostly on the upside. They sold quite a bit here in January, and then they've been adding back into that HODL ever since then, but they have been selling pretty much monthly here. You can see here ever since January, they've been consistently selling right around 700 or so Bitcoins a month here. Okay, BTC per exahash efficiency, 55.31 for the month of June. May was their best one, and that's based on the transaction fees adding to that. Helped them out there. Hash rate, also very good growth here since last year. I mean, we're in June, July right now. This is when they had issues with their hardened facility. That dropped them down. They were at 3.7, I think. That dropped them down to 700 petahash, and then they increased that slowly. They were stuck at 7 exahash for a while, and they finally started ramp back up here, which is nice to see. You can also see their production here, or revenue, has been up and down as depending on the production of BTC has been. May was obviously their best month, 34.23 million. They're down to 27.18 in June. That's to be expected, so that's okay. It's nonetheless, it's been going up. It has greatly improved from last year. That's a good thing. Hash rate difference, you can see, take a look at that. BTC sold, how much they've been selling. They've been selling quite a bit here, obviously since the start of January. They were hodling through all of 2022 at the expense of shareholders, unfortunately, which were being diluted quite a bit there. And let's take a look at some of the other metrics here. Quarterly results, we've covered that when they report the Q1s. We'll do another one of these when they report Q2. And here's what we got right now. Institutions increased a little bit here to 325. Shares also increased by 200,000 shares to 55.78 million. Percentage owned increased to 32.86. We still have 1 strong buy rating, 2 buy ratings, 3 hold ratings. Price target is at $20 for the high, $14.30 for the average, $8 for the low on them. Here are the miners that we got installed and the ones that we removed from that were possibly hashing. So they said that they basically got rid of 3,000. So those were the 3,000 here that were the 100 terahash miners. Those still aren't the worst miners. Actually pretty good miners still. Not the most efficient compared to the XPs, but still really good. So they got rid of those. I wonder if those are going to get plugged back in someplace else or if they're just going to sell those out. Would have liked to have known that. But based on that information, what we have here is they were mining for basically 24.5 days out of the month of June, which had 30 days. And then these, what is this one at here? That one is at 11. So the new miners that got installed here, the 2,800 miners roughly of the 140 terahash got installed. Those were running for about 11.6 days on average here. Okay, That got us to 27.179 million, which is based on the Bitcoin average price of June. And that's what we got here as well. So we're looking good there. So based on all that numbers, current quarter revenue is at 81.6 million. Last 3 quarters was 92, so they almost beat that. Combined total was 173 million. 50% net income, we're looking at $10.39 with a PE of 20. 75% net income, we're looking at $15.58, PE of 20 as well on that one. They're currently at $15.32. I could say that they're still a little bit undervalued, actually. And with the growth that they are having, with Bitcoin possibly going back up into the bull run after the halving event and things like that, you can see that the analysts have them at $20. That would put us up to basically a PE of 26, 25, kind of similar to what Riot is showing from the analysts. So I do think that they're still undervalued based on this information here. Let me know what you guys think. And then obviously with the curtailment is going to happen for them now, especially being in Texas. That's the other thing is a lot of these miners that are in Texas, they have this curtailment going on. The benefit some of the other miners that are outside of Texas and in other areas is they don't have to curtail that much. They rely a lot on nuclear power plants for their energy, and they can just run those things pretty much for the full month for the most part. Okay, so that's kind of the benefit some of those other miners have over miners that are in Texas there. Other than that, growth has been tremendous this year, or the last year. I think they're executing pretty well. We'll take a look at the numbers when they report them for the Q2, and we'll do that for everybody here, see how they actually stack up as far as what is their cost to mine 1 BTC minus depreciation. Q1 was 15,000, so that was pretty high. You saw Terawulf was at 9,000 something. In Q4, they were right around there. So it really, I guess it depends on where the electricity prices are and things like that, whether that's fixed price or not. So we'll see where that comes in at. Other than that, it's been one heck of a year for them. They've definitely turned things around since last year, so that's good to see. And we'll see how they stack up against the other miners this year, or this month in June, when we do the metrics on that as well, which will be coming out probably next week if everybody reports. The only ones that we're still missing that haven't reported are, let's see here, who do we have that hasn't reported yet? We're still missing from Sphere, Mawson. We'll see Mawson reports. Mawson was pretty late last time reporting. Iris hasn't reported, and I believe Hive hasn't reported yet either. Hive and Argo haven't reported. So we still have quite a few that haven't reported. Hopefully we'll get that information out later on this week. And I thought Hive reported. I'll have to take a look if Hive reported or not. Let's take a look at it. For some reason, I was thinking Hive did report because they were along with Riot, I believe. Nope. Okay, so they haven't reported yet. Okay. All right, that is it. I know it's a long one. If you guys stuck around till the end, thank you so much. We'll see what happens. Tomorrow's Friday, end of the week. We'll see how the miners did against Bitcoin on Saturday and things like that. And I'll start putting out the clips for some of these production updates later on, probably over the weekend and then into next week. So you guys can kind of see those if you want, again, without all the other stuff added to it. Okay, so we'll see how things go. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. The spreadsheet is available to my Patreon members, and then the dashboard snapshots will be available to the YouTube members as well. I got to get those out. I'm already a day behind on everything. So I'll either catch up tomorrow or I'll catch up over the weekend. Okay, so that's it. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, bye.